Good afternoon. Thank you for attending this town hall meeting, which is our kickoff to the Legacy of Learning campaign. I'm Deanna Stewart, president of the Mount Carmel Foundation, and delighted that you've chosen to spend some time with us this afternoon. This campaign was created to provide a way for our friends and our supporters to help strengthen, sustain, and support the Mount Carmel College of Nursing. By doing so, we can provide support in three critical areas: student scholarships, student emergency fund, and faculty innovation. I'd like to do a special shout out and acknowledgement to Dr. Ann Sheely, President and Dean Emeritus of Mount Carmel College of Nursing, for her leadership over the years and her leadership of this campaign, including agreeing to serve as chair. And as I mentioned before, I'm grateful, deeply grateful, that you've chosen to spend time with us today. Now, safety first. While we are all in the same room together, we are socially distant, and I encourage you to do all the things you need to do to remain safe. I'm joined today by Dr. Kathleen Williamson, who is President and Academic Dean of the Mount Carmel College of Nursing, along with a distinguished member of faculty, a current senior level student, and a member of the esteemed alumni, which I will introduce as we go through our time together. At Mount Carmel, a Catholic organization, we always start with a reflection, and I encourage you to bow your heads. We thank our Creator for this day, for the students, faculty, and staff of Mount Carmel College of Nursing, for our founders, the Sisters of the Holy Cross, whose presence has blessed our endeavors to create competent and compassionate professional registered nurses for nearly 120 years. And for those attending this town hall and participating in our Legacy of Learning campaign. Amen. Well, I'm going to direct the first question to Dr. Williamson. Let's start by getting the elephant out of the room. This global pandemic has affected us in so many different ways: planned, unplanned, unexpected. Please share with us how it's impacted the college and what changes you've had to put in place to accommodate it.
Well, thank you, Deanna Stewart. We very much appreciate the opportunity to share what we've been doing at the college. And as the newly appointed president and dean of the college, it came upon us in March that we had the COVID. And so what we were able to do is really pivot our educational delivery and go remote with our students. Our faculty were resilient, and the opportunity to share and collaborate with each other to ensure that the academic excellence was maintained as we went to remote learning. With COVID still in place and maintaining safety and distance, we've certainly been able to keep our programming remote as we can for our face-to-face learning. And we also now are back in our clinical setting. So I know our student here will be so nice maybe to share a little bit of that experience. But we are bringing students back to our campus through our called Skillsnasium. We've converted our gym into our skills lab, and we bring our students back for simulated experiences as well in the undergraduate and graduate program. But it has really changed. Higher education and that transformation that we've been through will really be an opportunity for us to see how and what we can do with emerging technologies for the future as we move forward. As we say, even with the campaign, with faculty innovation, what have we learned during this time that will help strengthen the faculty in their area of expertise, but also the students and their experience that they have at the college?
Yeah, it certainly does call into question the many traditional ways that we've done everything over the years, from the technology available to the instructional technique. We were talking just a minute ago, as an professor, do you record the whole class? Do you do one slide at a time? We're just all in a new world, and we're figuring it out.
Yeah.
And we know as we do so, we're continuing to deliver that exceptional educational experience.
Yes.
So swift action, learning as we go, more learning as we go, and we know this campaign will help us by investing into those critical areas. A question that I often get, and I know you get too, is what is going on with the Franklinton campus? There's a lot of activity there, but give us the latest and greatest.
Yeah, it's and the future is vibrant for the community. We look forward to the opportunity for more construction and opportunities for housing and restaurants and other things to come in the future. But as far as the college campus has gone under some renovation with the hospital, as we know, moving to Grove City here. But a lot of it is also internally and the things that we can continue to do. We're learning about the technologies that are out there. We want to infuse more of that very succinctly into a curriculum to make sure that it's going to be advantageous for students, for student learning, but also to engage faculty in scholarship. Our partner is our health system too, so we want to engage with our partners, such as the Mount Carmel Health System, on ways that we can create academic practice partnerships so faculty can engage in scholarship in the clinical setting and vice versa. The opportunity too to just share and understand that our legacy is in academic excellence, and so how can we continue that into the future is going to be still brick and mortar. We're still going to have students come to campus, but what will that look like in the future? And the opportunity to be innovative in that way is going to be a real important venture for us to think about how we will infuse that into everything that we do in all our programs.
One of the things I've been really inspired by with the college is how you approach partnerships. The students for years have had an amazing partnership with Avondale Elementary. And also, if I could just ask you to talk a little bit about the partnership with Lower Lights, the recent $2 million HRSA grant that you secured, and what that means for our college, our community, and our students.
Yeah. That was a really great opportunity for us to have a federal grant that allows us to develop in the nurse practitioner realm a residency program. And so our partners with this grant is the Lower Lights Christian Health Center. We also are partnered with Heart of Ohio, and we're also partnered with the Mount Carmel Medical Group. What that means is when a student graduates from the nurse practitioner program, they can apply to be a resident, and during that 1 year after graduation, they are supported in that 1 year of practice so that they can become a very competent, not that they're not competent upon graduation, but the opportunity to hone those skills with the preceptor to ensure that they are going to be successful in that implementation and forward into their practice. So we are very excited about that.
We are, and I'm just going to go off script. Well, my team knows I always go off script, but I want to brag on Dr. Kathy Williamson a little bit because she was here at the college just a few months as the academic dean when she went after and secured this grant, which is very hard to get. So we're excited about it. We look forward to its continued implementation, hopefully more in the future as we do that. So my next question is for Dr. Lindsay Luther over here on my right. She teaches in our family nurse practitioner graduate level program and is a doctor of nursing practice, a DMP for the acronym. So Dr. Luther, as an esteemed member of faculty, what has been the biggest challenge that this pandemic has introduced into your world as you seek to inspire and instruct the next generation of nurses?
So the first and probably fastest transition we had to make was how do we move our students from being in the room with us to moving online? And we had a great foundation because we've been in a hybrid teaching model for a long time, which means that we take the best of the online world and merge it with the best of the in-person, in the classroom world, and really use the right tool for the right aspect of the job. And so we had to reevaluate our tools and also our delivery for how we approach learning. And we did that very quickly. And I think it was a great opportunity for us to get creative and to really examine the aspects of teaching that we want to keep when this is all over and the things that we might want to leave behind, just because that's the way we've always done them. And that's really what evidence-based practice and evidence-based teaching is to take the best that we know about and really use those things. So we were fortunate to have a lot of tools at our disposal, and the IT team and our instructional design team gave us a lot of resources for being creative, using online technologies, using software that we could communicate with each other and with students and continue to keep those relationships with our students. And then the college also gave us a lot of support in trying to figure out how we could bring our students back together, because I think getting in the same room is really a part of what we love as teachers. And so they've been tremendous at adapting all of our skills and simulation centers and also providing us with online simulation software so that our students could really work through the critical thinking aspects of practice even while they couldn't be hands-on. So there were definitely some challenges, and I think we all learned a lot about ourselves and learned to have a sense of humor about trying new things and being kind of on the fly a lot of the time. But it's been a really good experience and a great opportunity to keep learning as instructors and to really think about the reasons behind why we do what we do.
And one of the phrases I've heard a lot recently, and I'm trying to take it to heart, is, patience and grace, as we move through this time and this learning. And one follow-up question, Lindsay, as you think about what you've learned, what we're learning together, the evolution, and you think about this campaign, how do you think the Legacy of Learning campaign can strengthen the college and student support and faculty support?
Sure. So on the technology side, I think we've discovered a lot of tools that we would like to have continued access to moving forward. And so I think there are a lot of opportunities for programs, for iPads and other things that would be excellent teaching tools. But on a more personal note, the pandemic really brought about a lot of concerns for our students. We have a lot of students who are non-traditional, who have families and full-time jobs, who are working in hospitals. I teach graduate students, so my students are already registered nurses. And so many of them were on the front lines of COVID, and we had to really learn how to be more adaptive to the unique needs of our students as individuals and to take care of them in the spirit of our mission. As they struggled with the things that come up in life. And so I think the campaign offers the opportunity to support students when they encounter some of those struggles financially, as well as just putting the right people in place so that when we need help encountering student issues, we can do so.
It's interesting. It's long been a hallmark of Mount Carmel, founded by the Sisters of the Holy Cross, to meet people where they are. In every facet of that. We've done that, with folks that live on the land. We do that with our patients. And I think we have a renewed awareness of that with one another and with our students and whatever those life circumstances are and how we can make that easier or more effective. All right, Trey, you're going to be up next. Let's turn to our student member of the panel representing every student. It's a burden. He is a senior this year. I had an opportunity to hear Trey last September at our scholarship dinner, and that seems like about 3 decades ago, but it was just last September. So I imagine college life is just a little bit different, this year than it has been in the past. What have you encountered? And as you think about this Legacy of Learning campaign, how do you think it can provide greater support to students?
So it has been very different. Moving online, though, it hasn't been too hard because my generation is used to this kind of technology. And I do like that we are back in person clinicals now. I really enjoyed that time with the patients. I like where I'm at, which is Mount Carmel, New Albany. That's the most important thing, is the clinical experience. I do miss that in-person, face-to-face interaction with faculty and my other classmates, though, of course, you can't replace that, but we are making do. Safety is the most important thing. I think we all agree on that. The number one thing I think that this campaign can provide for us would be financial support through scholarships and emergency student funds. So speaking personally, if not for the scholarships, I don't know if I could be in school this semester. I can't say how grateful I am for these donations from generous strangers. And I know a lot of other students say the same, especially for the emergency student funds, which is more of a semester basis grant. Especially right now with the pandemic, and as she was saying, it's just a hard time for a lot of people, so we're very grateful.
Well, we appreciate the gratitude, and I know for the donors that give, it gives them great joy to be able to invest in students, invest in the next generation of nurses, and in addition to scholarships, which make a difference in so many lives. Just a brief word about the Student Emergency Fund before I turn it over to you, Pat, so you're going to be up next. This Student Emergency Fund was just started about a year ago with some very generous donors that had a vision that they wanted to help students who encounter life, whatever that may be. And so with their vision and generosity, this emergency fund was created. If a student is in a situation that they need that quick emergency help, they can apply for it in a confidential way. And very quickly get feedback. And I know, Kathy, you'll probably share with us a little bit later what those numbers have looked like. But just think about it. When the fund was started a year ago, the request level was about here. It's up here now because our lives have changed so dramatically. And so that's a great example of generous visionary donors saying, here's a need. And what a profound need it's been. And they've encouraged others to give to this fund as well, which is exciting. All right, Pat Steele-Skunda, president of the Mount Carmel Alumni Association, and not a one, not a two, but a 3-time graduate of the school and the college. I think about alumni on a serious note, and they are truly the living legacy of our College of Nursing. How they're responding to the pandemic, how they're supporting others in so many ways. As you think about our alumni and our Legacy of Learning campaign, how do you think it can help sustain the mission of the Sisters of the Holy Cross?
Well, I think, it is true that the alumni does embody the legacy of learning. The Sisters of the Holy Cross did found Mount Carmel School of Nursing in 1903. And I am a 1972 graduate of the School of Nursing. 30 years ago, as you know, the college was transitioned to the college setting. And after 36 years of working at Mount Carmel West, I decided to go back to school and earn my bachelor's, which I did through the RN to BSN program. And that just wasn't enough. I enjoyed it tremendously, I really did, and I decided to go back and get my master's. And it was in nursing administration. Many of the alumni of the school have gone back to school. If they were graduates of the diploma school, many went on to get their RN to BSN. And many also then went to the master's. And now there are a lot of the graduates who are practicing nurse practitioners at the facilities. And I hoped that I had a little bit to do with some of that encouragement to go back to school. I figured at my age, if I can do it, you can do it. So I kind of take credit for some of that. It is a strong testament to the education that we received. I felt that I received an excellent education, not once, but all 3 times of school. And I felt that the instructors at the time, their main focus was to make people succeed, that they wanted everyone to succeed and not be failures. So I think a lot of my coworkers have said the same thing about that. We currently have over 6,000 alumni, some who are retired, and those who continue to work in a number of the diverse specialties. We are a national community. We have alumni all over the country, and they do have get-togethers throughout the country as well for people who graduate from Mount Carmel. And we also are known locally and nationally as a very caring professional, and the college does have a good reputation across the country. The mission statement of the Alumni Association aligns with the mission of the college and the mission of the Sisters of the Holy Cross. That includes supporting the excellence in nursing throughout educational support, professional support, and financial and philanthropic support. Sorry about that, my tongue got tied. The Mount Carmel Alumni Association focuses on the legacy of learning every year and beyond. We provide annual scholarships to students at Mount Carmel through our endowment and fundraising opportunities. And we also have members who have donated to the Mother Angela Society that have permanent legacies after they pass. So it will be an ongoing legacy that our people have done that. They also, many alumni and other families, have established legacy scholarships in honor of their loved ones who have been graduates of Mount Carmel. Some classes have established scholarships on their honor year of graduation. So you may have 50-year graduates having scholarships. My class did a 45-year scholarship for our reunion. And each year during our membership drive, we provide an opportunity for people to donate to the Mount Carmel Alumni Scholarship Funds. They may be small donations, $10, $20, or even more, but eventually it adds up Last year, we were able to provide 10 scholarships to students through our endowment and with our fundraising activities. And we are doing this mainly to help the students focus on schooling and not having to focus on their financial, how are they going to make themselves get through that. So we are supporting the next generation of Mount Carmel nurses. In terms of COVID-19 today, many of our alumni are on the front lines of the COVID setting, and many have been at the patient's bedside at that moment when the patients have actually had to pass, and that's important to them. It provides some kind of comfort to the family to know that their loved one was not left alone at that time. And they have also made sacrifices with their own families, being away for long hours and being away from their families. But they do it because it's our mission of stewardship and for caring for patients, and that is something that they do on their own. They're professional, they're compassionate. That's what they've been taught. If you're a Mount Carmel nurse, you're compassionate, you're caring, and you're professional. Communities have also been, we've been lucky, they've recognized what Mount Carmel has done. They've been supporting the different facilities with their meals that they give to the staff and their salutes and their welcoming. So this community has a large part in that as well. So I just want to say that we do focus a lot on scholarships, and we will continue to do that because we are hopefully growing new nurses to carry on what we have done for the last 120 years at Mount Carmel.
Well, it's a special legacy and a special colleague. You certainly embody it so well. I'm grateful you're with us today. And I've heard that in the community as well. Oh, you're a Mount Carmel nurse? It's a given. You're going to be an exceptional nurse. But the compassion that you give is exceptional. So I think we're going to do a shift here now and go to some questions from the audience. Allison's going to work her magic behind the screen and share some of the questions that have come in. I encourage you, if you have questions, use the chat function on the WebEx, type them in, and we'll get them answered while we're here today. And if there are more than we can answer, we can do a follow-up as well. So this first question, I'm going to start with you, Dr. Luther, and then maybe Kathy, you can weigh in, Trey as well. Explain the clinical skills boot camp. What is it? And then what was the student response to the boot camp?
So I can speak to this from the graduate perspective, although I believe the boot camp that the asker is referring to is probably the undergraduate boot camp. But what we did was we realized that our students had to shift out of their hands-on advanced assessment course into an online-only advanced assessment course where we use technology like video recording software for them to do all of their demonstrations on their spouses, their children, whoever happened to be available. And so we really wanted to give them the opportunity to do patients they didn't know and get those interviewing skills in and their hands-on skills. So we brought them into our labs and they did a day where they practiced doing hands-on exams on each other. Their first week they were allowed to be back into clinical. And we were all masked and separated as much as we could be. And then the next week we did our women's health exams where we have live standardized patients, which are patient actors who agree to medical examinations so that our students can learn to talk to and do those hands-on skills with patients in a safe environment, in a supervised environment with the faculty there guiding them. So that was a really nice way for us to get back together after a long time apart. And, we spent a lot of time diligently plotting out arrival times and exit times and and how many people would be in each place at once. But it turned out to be a really great experience. And it was a nice way to rejoin the in-person world at a social distance.
A great way to have that experience, but do it safely.
Yes.
Anything that you would add?
Yeah, I would add that I'm going to do a shout out to Mitch Joseph Keplin because he's our Director of Compliance and Safety who really put our whole COVID packet together. But he really was instrumental in really making sure that every area of the college was safe and available for students when they came back to campus, and working with the faculty and working with the administration. And really a big shout out to the faculty who really created what we call our Skillsnasium. So if you're familiar with Mount Carmel, we have a gym, and the gym is now a skills lab. Our skills lab is in the basement, and we decided that for the safety of others and its spacing, it was better to bring it upstairs, where then the students can come in. And so we're very mindful of space and ensuring everybody had a mask and safety. Utilizing the lounge and the gymnasium seemed to be the best alternative. And so really it got, the idea was really a skills boot camp, as Dr. Luther mentioned, is really for students after they've been away from college campus, was to bring them back to practice their skill set. Because as we know, they were going back to the clinical experience. And this was a way to have a transition period for them to come into campus, practice using our various mannequins and so forth, and really practice that skill set under the supervision of the faculty to then be ready to go out into their clinical experiences. And as far as students, why don't you let me know how it was?
It went really well. I know that I was nervous and a lot of the other students were nervous because it had been so long since we've been in a clinical setting and doing these assessments. But it went really well, and it made us all a lot more comfortable to go back and actually do these assessments on patients. It was a great way to get our feet wet, and I think you guys pretty much covered it all.
So it was successful.
It went well.
Successful launch.
But I
yes.
think about the gymnasium, it served many functions over the years.
Yes.
From, computer lab, scholarship dinner, skillsnasium, many things that I'm not even referencing now. This next question, I'm gonna shift over to you, to Dr. Williamson.
Okay.
What are some examples of how the campaign will support faculty innovation? And what is the college's innovation vision?
Great question. Well, if you look at our vision statement, it does say that we are to be the innovative academic center preparing nurses as the most trusted partners in healthcare. So what does that mean? It's really a roadmap. It's really an opportunity for us to really say, how do we define innovation? Innovation, when you first think about it, you think of technology. It's not just about technology. It's how we deliver the curriculum. It's how we deliver the education. How are the resources the faculty have in their classroom to do the things that they need to do and lift them up to be the best that they can be at that time? It is leveraging the technology. It's also leveraging resources. We have a wonderful instructional designer who is in support of faculty to help what we call pedagogy, how they deliver the education in the classroom. We also have, and Dr. Luther is one of them, our faculty fellows. There's 5 of them. The Faculty Fellows Program is really there as a mentoring opportunity to help faculty work to engage either in student engagement, faculty engagement in their classroom, but also look at pedagogical strategies that are evidence-based and support to learning. So it's looking at all of those things, but also inclusion of technology. Technology is not going away. It is getting simpler and easier to use. We will be launching an iPad program in the future for our students and our faculty. Our faculty will be this semester. The program's called I Innovate. Well, how will we innovate academically in our curriculum and have our students also be innovators in their own way? So this isn't just a faculty-driven initiative. It really is all about how can we, as the college itself, can be innovative in the things that we do through the strategies, through teaching, the delivery of our education, but also the faculty in the classroom, as well as students, putting technology or the resources in the hands of students so when they go out to that transition of practice, they're ready to be in a technology-driven environment, which we know healthcare is.
It certainly is and will continue to be.
Absolutely.
And you remind me of several projects I've worked with in the past, and it's so encouraging. Technology, not just for technology's sake, but how can technology advance the strategy and the new environment in which we find ourselves? And there's going to be learning as we go. Some stuff's going to work great. Some stuff we might say, we're not going to do that again. We're going to do it a different way. But that's the nature of innovation, to have that appetite to be, to take some chances and see what works.
Yeah.
So this one's going to be another one for you, Dr. Williamson. We'll see if we can round out some other questions here in the future. But this is a good one, and I'm glad it's asked. So this campaign is not for the physical plant, the physical campus, Capitol. Will the college's physical plant need to be expanded in the foreseeable future? You know, and just adding on to that's talking about evolution of the campus, the infrastructure, the capital.
Oh, I wish I had a crystal ball. Or can I have a genie in a bottle? Make my wish?
Unfortunately not, but we can envision it.
Yeah, it's a really good question. The answer is right now we have the buildings that we are in. We are looking at the opportunity to see how we can use our plant to ensure that, as our core value says, is academic excellence and respect and compassion and social responsibility and diversity are all part of the process. You're right. Brick and mortar is one side of it. But the other side to this, when I think about this, is also about our faculty and our students who enter into the building. If we've been able to manage our academic excellence through going remote and through this COVID pandemic, what should our brick and mortar look like when we return? And that's a really good question, because the answer is it may have to evolve. It may be more student-centered areas. It may be more collaborative areas where students and faculty can congregate and be together. It could be areas of support that can support the learning that's going on and support the engagement, but also support faculty scholarship and service. The opportunity to work with our partners, all our partners in our community, but also within our health system, to ensure that we can actually provide all the necessary innovative ideas and strategies and teaching to still support education. I think with COVID, we learned that education can happen in a lot of different modalities. So how does our brick and mortar look in the future? I really do believe that it's going to change for the future. Will it change today or tomorrow? Currently what we have? Probably not. But we can also envision, what we have, how can we use it differently?
And if I could just add to that, I'm reminded of a couple meetings we've been in recently focused on the Mount Carmel Franklinton campus. And, we know a couple of things that give me inspiration. We know Mount Carmel remains committed to that community now more than ever, with an eye towards serving that community in ways that they need. The college is a large part of that. We also have on the campus the Healthy Living Center that provides a variety of programs that are free to local community residents, over 30,000 people a year. We have a fabulous crime and trauma program there on the campus that provide amazing support to victims of the most horrific crime. And we're moving our outreach and wellness team to the campus, which is very appropriate, back where it started with the vision of the sisters. So I know Lorraine Lutton, our new president and CEO, is very interested in what's going on in that campus. There's been a couple of the meetings that we've been in recently to say, I understand the plan right now, but where's it going and how does the college fit, and to have those conversations. So great questions. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
I can only speak for myself. I'm encouraged by the dialogue, and I hope you are too.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, Trey, you're up. Get ready. What led you to choose Mount Carmel to help answer your calling to be a nurse?
Well, it has a really good reputation. I've spoke with different doctors. One of my closest friends' boyfriend is a doctor. He said great things about Mount Carmel from the people that he's interacted and consulted with from Mount Carmel. My mom is a nurse. She's in risk management. She's had all kinds of positions, and she kind of helped push me towards Mount Carmel a little bit. So I could go on and on about the reasons for Mount Carmel, and then I've had new reasons once I got to Mount Carmel of why I like it, such as the small classrooms, more interaction with the teacher, easier to ask questions compared with some larger schools such as OSU, where it can be very difficult to get that personal one-on-one time with professors.
Great. They know you by name and who you are and what
Yes.
you're doing, and
Yes.
so show up accordingly, right? I'm going to shift this one over to you, to Dr. Luther, to start, and then we'll just open it up. But first, I see there's a shout out that I want to share to everyone. If you haven't seen the recent Catholic Times, it just came out, I want to say, a week
13th.
ago. There is an amazing article in there about the College of Nursing. So I encourage you to go check it out. And big thanks to our PR team at the college who helped work with Catholic Times to do that. Now on to the question. how has the student education model been modified to allow for patient and family communications during COVID?
So really the education model in the patient realm kind of depends on what level the student is at. So in the undergraduate level, students are typically with one faculty member who is a clinical instructor who will help them. I can speak as my experience as a nurse practitioner in the hospital here, actually at Grove City. We have had to be the liaisons for our patients and their families, because a lot of the time the families were not able to be in the room, and so we sort of became surrogate family for the day. And I can speak from the experience of having supervised students that it is so nice for the patient to have a student on those days when their family cannot be there, because it's like having a friend and a confidant and somebody who's there only to take care of you. And what a blessing to have on a very bad day, which is why we're here, right? We want to be that blessing on a bad day. And so I think, in that way, the student experience has expanded, that they have even more significant of a role in our patients' lives. For our graduate students, they tend to be one-on-one with the patient and a preceptor or an individual clinician who helps to supervise them. And so their experience has been fast and furious, because they are an extra set of hands that can help with this surge of volume. There's been a big shift towards telehealth. And so our students are learning new ways to interact with patients. It's very different from what we've done in the past, where it was almost always in one room together. And those take different skills. So you have to use a different set of, it's a different skill set to be talking to somebody over a video chat or over a phone, and to try to learn enough about them that you can take care of them well, and to still establish relationships. So it's definitely changed, but I think these have been opportunities to develop new strengths, and to learn a different, and probably this is not something that's going to go away. I think this is something that we're going to keep using, telehealth and technology for interacting with patients as we move forward.
It's a really interesting point. As I've done a little reading and learning about it, telehealth is not new. It's been around for a long time, but a very small percentage of work was ever done that way. And then, necessity is the mother of invention, as they say. And so it's here to stay as part of the mix. And that means the college needs to continue the great work in preparing our students for working in that environment, in addition to a traditional face-to-face environment. All right, I see another question coming in. I'll kick it over to you, to Dr. Williamson, to start, because I know you like to talk about this topic. Yes, she does. What interprofessional activities has the college participated in recently, or that you have coming up?
Yeah, we have quite a bit of interprofessional activities, and I'll do a shout out to Dr. Jamie Neininger, also Dr. Eben, as well as Dan Abbey in the Simulation Center for Innovation and Learning, as that we are really involved in interprofessional activities through simulation, and we bring together a variety of individuals from our Mount Carmel health system to help really work on how can we communicate and ensure quality care and best practices as a team. And so they go through leadership training, they go through simulation activities, and we hope to continue more and more of those activities. I would hope too that when you're in the clinical setting out there as a student, you're also seeing how the interprofessional team is functioning together. The pharmacist, the social worker, everyone that's part of the healthcare team, and the rounding opportunities that might be out there. Also in the nurse practitioner world, you can probably even speak to interprofessional care, is that, we're all in this together, and we can't take care of a patient by ourselves. It has to be a team approach. And so with that is part of our, the quality care initiatives that we have in our organization, but also in what we teach in the program. We have to be able to communicate and learn from each other, and also respect each other for what they bring to the table, and the skills and the responsibilities that go along with that. So understanding from an early on, from an undergraduate program, understanding everyone's place at the table, but also understanding for how you can communicate with one another to ensure the care of that patient is going to be safe, evidence-based, and quality. I don't know if Lindsay has anything else to add in her realm.
Really, interprofessional practice is the crux of what we do.
Absolutely.
I can't remember the last time I took care of a patient all on my own. It just doesn't happen anymore. It's a team sport, and so you have to learn how to communicate. And I hope Trey's already experienced this out in his clinicals, that we really try to take the best of what each discipline has to offer and collaborate and integrate those things together so that we can offer the patient the very best care. And then the other thing I think is important, and something that Mount Carmel does well, is to keep the focus on the actual patient as a member of that team, and the family as the member of that team as well. So it's not just about the professionals in the situation, because they're not the end user. The person who matters the most is the patient and their family. And so we try to teach that to our students, and I think our students do a good job of being the advocate for those patients when the patient cannot be.
Yeah, putting and keeping the patient at the center of all that we do with the team, to provide that multifaceted support.
Yeah.
And you remind me of one thing in terms of just how philanthropy can come together and help. The Center for Innovative Learning that you talked about was funded by philanthropy, 8 or 10 years ago, 6 years ago. And it's run in terms of providing the best innovation that it can, whether it's high fidelity simulators. Mannequins isn't the right term, it's robots that are amazingly real, and that's where you want the students to get the practice before they move on to the next person. And so to continue to integrate that
Absolutely.
in just makes for a stronger class as they graduate.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to throw this one over to you, Dr. Williamson.
Sure.
Everyone can chime in. There have been many things on the national forefront lately. In addition to COVID, social justice, diversity, and inclusion, certainly a big topic, and appropriately so. How is the college responding to diversity and inclusion, particularly given recent events?
It's a great question. When we look at our core values at our Mount Carmel College of Nursing, there's two that stand out, and not that the other, academic excellence and respect and compassion, don't come into play, but one is social responsibility and diversity. And we very much specifically put diversity as one of our core values a couple years ago when we were looking at our core values and strategic planning. And so it's very important to the college and the community members and our stakeholders that we really value those core values. And how do we do this in times of today? One of the things that I asked that our college assembly look at was the opportunity to have a diversity, equity, and inclusion council. Not just a council of members that could develop programming, but really how do we include diversity, equity, and inclusion through everything that we do? How does it align throughout our curriculum? How does it align? And when we say it's a core value, how do you see that core value being in place at all times? And it just not because we're going to do an activity because it's Black History Month, but what does that mean across the continuum of care even? And how are we ensuring that our students are feeling comfortable, all students, doesn't matter if they're graduate or undergraduate, caring for a diverse population and a diverse culture. We are about being compassionate and respect for others. So this council is going to look forward to looking at inclusion measures that will be supported not just by an individual or by programming, but because of the way we do things. I know Dr. Luther is actually on that committee, and she's done some things already, so I'll call her out on it because I think that it will be a testament to some of the things that we're looking at doing in the future and how this committee will function.
Sure. So one of the things that we did just in my family nurse practitioner group over the summer, we were having our students do indirect clinical hours, meaning not hands-on clinical hours. So they were engaging in activities that had to do with professional practice for nurse practitioners and things such as that. So when the situation with George Floyd came up on the national news, many of my students reached out and wanted to have a conversation about this as it impacts them personally and professionally and, just as citizens. And so we took that opportunity to offer them the choice to participate in a book club looking at how racial injustice and internal biases sort of impact medical care and medical decision making. And so we ended up spending the summer reading books together and learning about that and talking about it. And I think that was really impactful. But for me, that was just sort of a start, because I think really we're all kind of starting on this journey of trying to figure out how to do this well. And so I think we are going to be looking at our policies. We're going to be looking at our syllabi. We'll be looking at the authors that we include in our reading, who is the videos that we're showing, and the patients that we're taking care of, to really make sure that we are representing what our students will encounter when they go out into the world, and preparing them to handle that with a sense of grace and responsibility and compassion for anybody that they may encounter.
I think well said, and if I could just add to that, that the approach the college is taking aligns very neatly with the approach the health system is taking. And under the leadership of Lorraine Lutton, I remember when the murder of George Floyd occurred and hit the news waves, and I can only speak for myself, the shock and level of upset I had. Lorraine penned a personal email to every colleague in Mount Carmel, just sharing her point of view, and then shortly after that facilitated a series of meetings and town halls just to begin the discussion, which will lead to change. And it's through that discomfort that change will come. And so, for some, the journey has been a lifetime. My son was adopted from Guatemala. I see this through his eyes as a man of brown skin. For others, it's a heightened awareness now, and how can we come together as a great country and great college that we are?
Absolutely.
I saw a question up there for the alumni. Allison, if I can see the question for the alumni next. Pat's sitting up. Keep going. There we go. Pat, as you think about the amazing 6,000 alumni, how do you think they can get involved and help support this campaign?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, one, being involved in the Alumni Association. There are still more, with the 6,000 graduates, we may not have that many that are actual members. So we are trying to branch out to increase our membership. That's one of our strategic goals, is to increase the number of members in the association. And also I was talking to Lindsay earlier, a lot of the alumni that are members are from the School of Nursing. But we are trying to branch that, to bridge the school with the College of Nursing graduates, to see what their interests are, to find out why would you want to join the association, why wouldn't you want to? And what do we have to offer them, not just the ones who graduate from the school, but what we have to offer to the others. We've been talking about that, within our executive board, and we are looking at, one, trying to look at the newer grads to get an interest in being on committees that we have, and see what they, have their say in what's going on. And then, branch out to their friends and do a national membership drive as well. We do an annual membership drive. But we want to get to more students and get them involved, especially the new grads. So that's something that we're going to be working on. We're trying to offer things for alumni. We're doing a in-service, trying to do an annual in-service for the alumni so that they can get a CEU offering, which we've not done before. We did that last year before homecoming. Right. So we're trying to think of not just the students, but also the alumni. We have to have something to offer both of them to have interest in what's going on.
So not to put words in your mouth, but what I'm hearing is you've got an alumni association that cares about you, whether you're a school grad, college grad, recent grad. Reach out and talk to us because we want to hear from you and get you engaged. Terrific. All right, Trey and Lindsay, this one's coming your way. How is the faculty following up with the students to assure that remote learning is effective?
I will let you start.
So I know that for each of my classes online, since we went to online, the teachers are always checking in with us in class to make sure, do you guys like this style of teaching? Is this effective? Are you guys able to stay awake? Because you're setting at home, you're more comfortable, and it can be easy to not pay attention. So they are always making sure that our attention is where it needs to be. Whether that's through polling, just any kind of question, keeping us engaged, making sure that everyone is responding. So, and I've even had like Dr. Cooley, I've had her number, so when I had her in OB, she's texted me personally. Another benefit of going to Mount Carmel, just that connection you get with the professors at the college. It's more than just you see them on campus and you go home and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I will just sort of echo what Trey said from the opposite perspective, that I care about my students as people. And so if they are not doing well, then I want to know about it. And so if I notice that students have sort of disappeared or they're less active than they normally are, I will usually not even just email, but send a text message or arrange a conference with them to check in, just because I think that a lot of times people are shy about asking for what they need, and so I have the privilege of offering what they might need. And then I also think that education is an experiment. So every time we have a class, at the end of the class, we talk about what went well and what could have gone better. And then next time we try to adjust so that we can make some of those things better. This morning before I came, I was preparing for a class that I will be teaching tomorrow morning. And I was able to adjust many of the things that could have gone better last week. And I feel confident that they're going to go better this week because we learned some things with the new technology last week. And I think approaching with the attitude and the expectation for our students that we're all doing this for the first time. And so your feedback is invaluable to me. Please tell me what you need and I will do what I can to make it work for you. And then from the perspective of just ensuring rigor, we are monitoring everything data-wise to make sure that our students are present. We're making sure that our students are getting their work done and getting to clinical, and we are checking in with them and following up more often. We're watching their grades. We're watching all of the things that we would to ensure that we're preparing them for the end goal, which is to graduate on time and to pass their boards and be ready to become nurses or nurse practitioners.
It's funny, my son is a sophomore at Miami University and he's taking classes remotely, and so I get to hear about, the student side around the dinner table. And I don't know about the College of Nursing, but some professors make us keep our cameras on the entire time.
Yes.
And I said, if I was your professor, I would too. But
if you were in a face-to-face class, we would see
right,
everybody.
right.
So we want to see
it's
everybody.
just, kind of fun to have those moments of truth.
Yeah.
Well, final question, and I'm going to direct it to you, Dr. Williamson. Tell us a little bit about the Mount Carmel College of Nursing students of today, what the class looks like, what they're like, that we will provide support through this Our Legacy of Learning campaign.
Just to give you some data, I know, some of our students seek financial aid, and approximately about 86% of our students seek financial aid. So the support to students in the form of scholarships and emergency funds are very important to us. In September of 19, we had 84 requests for emergency funds. So far, we've had 57 this year ask for emergency funds. That's about 70 different students in our college that have asked for support. So it's very important that we continue to support our students from a scholarship perspective. And thank you so much for the alumni for everything that you do and will hopefully continue to do and provide. But also to everyone who provides for the emergency funds. It's very important that we, like I think you said earlier, is like we meet our students where they are, and not everybody is in a particular place. But anything we could do to help support them to continue their calling to want to be a nurse is so important for us. The other is that we look at our student population, and we do look at our diversity, and we look to see where our students are. And so far, about 26% of our students identify as being Black, Indigenous, or people of color, which is up from last year. but it's important that we look at various communities to support anyone who would like to be in the college and seek a profession of nursing. And so the opportunity to recruit faculty and students is definitely on our strategic initiative to increase diversity in our faculty as well as in our student population. A lot of our students, almost 51% of them, are first-generation students. And so with that, there's needed support for students in that capacity. And that is in ensuring that they have support to go through a college education. And that means if we need more tutors in the organization, or peer tutors, or academic resource center we have, what support we can provide them in that area, that's going to be very important. Also family-wise, we've been talking more importantly too about families and how we can help support what I would call the people who wrap around those services around that student. You know, how can we help them if they've not been into college? What kind of support can we provide those individuals so that they can be at home supporting their child or their individual through this experience? And also when we look at students too, as English as a second language, what other opportunities can we provide either through peer tutoring or support services and through accommodations that will allow and help forge this path for students who want nursing as a career in the future. So if it is their life's calling, then we have to do everything we can to support them to be successful in nursing school.
Well, this will bring to a close formally our time together. I am deeply appreciative to have spent the time with this amazing group of panelists. I'm also deeply appreciative of each of you that's on the WebEx. I'm told that we have over 50 people that have joined us today. A couple of thoughts as we wrap up and let you get back to the next 3 or 5 or 12 meetings or classes that you have. I hope what you've heard today has provided you some additional information, insight, and maybe a bit of inspiration about this amazing Mount Carmel College of Nursing and the Legacy of Learning campaign that we're launching to sustain, support, and strengthen this college. After this session is over, you will receive a survey. I know you get a lot of surveys. This is a short survey, and your opinion matters. So please take 2 minutes and fill that out and send it in. And if our conversation has resonated with you, and I really hope that it has, I encourage you to visit mccn.edu/giving to learn more about our Legacy of Learning campaign and how you can join us in investing in the next generation of exceptional and compassionate nurses. Thank you. Stay healthy and safe.